On this week's edition of the FATSIDE Footy podcast, are the Tigers the outright flag favourite? King Crippa conquers the G. Did we see Howler of the century on Sunday? Hodge remains undefeated. And is this the toughest compare the pair ever? All that and more this week on the FATSIDE. Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FATSIDE Footy podcast. Once again, I'm joined, as always, by my very good friend, Bobby. Bobby, how are you, mate?
I'm great, Jacko. It was a very, very good weekend of footy. Some pretty obvious victories. Almost all the favourites came away with 4 points, including your mob.
Yeah, very good win down at Marvel on Sunday. I enjoyed that. Enjoyed the first quarter by myself, and then realised that Josh, our good friend Josh Murray at the FATSIDE, went by himself as well. So we figured, hey, let's hang out. So went upstairs and watched the rest from the FATSIDE, so it was good. Yeah,
nice.
It was really nice. Good.
Look, my boys nearly let one slip. Would have been borderline robbed, though, had Essendon lost that game.
Yeah.
I think that game gave us the biggest howler since the cancellation of Mike Whitney's Gladiators. That cross-eyed spanner.
Yeah.
How he missed that goal. Let's just have a little bit of a listen to it.
Wrestle this momentum back. Not bad. Has it just got there? Umpire says play on. Touched on the line. Now Brown wants it checked.
Oh, they're going to review it. Now Burgess has jumped in. Oh, that's over by foot.
Oh, my goodness. Cue the outrage.
Over by... Understandably.
Oh, mate. He had one job.
Yeah, one job. Yeah.
That ball had crossed the line further than the Catholic Church.
That is blasphemous.
Yeah, that is a don't come Monday. That is a don't come Monday at its finest.
All right, well, look, let's rip into the rest of the results. Friday started with a very big statement by the Richmond Tigers. They walloped the Maggies in the end. The 32-point margin was mildly flattering. Dusty Martin, he owned the middle. Hasn't looked that dangerous since sporting some chopsticks during kick-ons. He had 38 and 2 goals for Dusty, and Tommy Lynch kicked a lazy 5 goals 1. Prestia had another solid game, 35 and 8 clearances.
The meatball.
The human meatball.
Human meatball.
The Maggies had a decent first quarter, but the steamrolling was fairly inevitable considering the outs, and Roughhead suffered a bit of a scone rattle. He went off with a concussion. Trelaw continued to rack it up with 39, and Pendles had 28 and 2 goals.
Would you say Jordan went off with a rough head?
Oh, wow.
That is a don't come Monday.
What I will say, mate, is the Pies are losing key pieces faster than a Michael J. Fox jigsaw party.
Wow.
All right, look, Saturday begun with the Lions. They were feasting on the inaccurate Hawks. They rolled into the Apple Isle and they took home the 4 points with a classy 87 to 60 point victory. Chris Fagan, a.k.a. the daddy of Alistair Clarkson, he's undefeated against the Hawks, Chris Fagan. His midfield ran riot through Neil. He had 33 and a goal. The Zork, 25 and 2 goals. Lions, 25 and 6 clearances. Cam Rayner showed a bit. He had 2 goals 1, but Witherden went down with a calf early on. The Hawkers had Silk. He had 2 goals at the end of the day, and Warple grabbed 34 and 7 clearances. But the finals hopes are dashed now for Hawthorn, and Brisbane are heating up at precisely the right time.
Oh, they're exciting, Brisbane. They're going to be hard to beat come September, but we'll have to wait and see. There's some other teams around them that are looking red hot themselves.
Oh, you're not wrong, mate. Not wrong. Look, the next game of the round, well, an unstoppable force swept through the MCG when Patrick Cripps demolished the Adelaide Crows. Carlton ended up winning by 27 points in the end. King Crippa, he gathered more hard pills than a summer day sniffer dog. 19 clearances to go with 24 contested and 1 very fine snag. Simpson, Walsh, Smurfer and Curnow all had 30 plus, and 3 majors to Levi Casbolt sealed the deal. I've seen more fight watching the missus choose a movie on Netflix than the Crows dished up at the G, to be honest with you.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And the Sniffer Dogs they would have had a busy weekend elsewhere as well, as seeing Splendour in My Arse was on. So, been a busy week for Sniffer Dogs.
Look, Tex kicked 3 goals. Bit of a response from the old fossil. O'Brien killed it in the ruck, to be honest, but Pike's boys have a bit of a smell of dead fish about them now. The rot's in. Clearly in. The Eagles, they flexed some muscle at home versus the Roos. They ended up winning by 49 points. Huge win. Josh Kennedy took home a bag of 7 snags. Gaff and Sheed had 30 plus disposals each. And Willie Rioli, he dance-stepped around multiple roos, snapped through a really, really nice major. But the goal that was the most significant on the day, it was Kennedy. He joined the 600 goal club with his 6th goal of the game. We'll just give you a little bit of a taste of it right here.
The switch. Darling pressing hard. Great work rate and speed to get there. He'll handball over the top. Kennedy, he's tackled. Bounces off a couple. Swings on to the left and swings it through. It's 6 for Josh. It's 600 for Josh Kennedy's career.
Yeah, lovely goal there from JJK. Tomo's busted plum meant the Roos were lean down back, but also quiet games from Simpkin, Cunners and Zeeble compounded the loss. Zerha was pretty lively, 3 goals, and Polek was pretty busy sweeping down back, but North's finals hopes are about as thin as my hairline right now.
And not only sweeping down back, I heard Scott Thompson still sweeping the Gabba looking for his nut, so...
Oh, well.
Yeah, yeah, watch that space. We'll wait and see.
All right, Saturday night saw the Saints keep marching under Rats. They downed the Demons by 19 points, kicking over 100 points for the second week in a row. With the game balancing tighter than Ben Cousins' sobriety, the Saints... The Saints stood up in the fourth, kicking 5 goals for. Seb Ross, probably best on. He had 31 and 2 goals. Josh Bruce chipped in with 4 big schnags. Membry added 3 himself. And Gresham ran a little bit of a muck, 32 and 9 clearances through the middle. Maxi Gorney showed young Rowan Marshall how the big dogs roll. He had 40 hit-outs plus some big contested marking. Petrarca, for the D's, he kicked 3 goals. And Fritsch is looking good, repurposed up forward. But the Melbourne Footy Club have pretty much given up on 2019. They are now week to week the easy beats. And with Richmond and Collingwood still to come, 17th is probably precisely where they'll finish.
Yep, absolutely.
Then a rare nail-biter in round 19 saw the Giants hold on for a 1-point victory over the Power in Heathshaw's 300th. The Giants led all game, but Port had more scoring shots and more inside 50s, but their kicking was about as polished as their supporters' vocabulary.
You want a bad can of Coke on a blanket? We kick your ass on Sunday? Yeah, I'll take that back. Come on then.
Travis Boak with 40 disposals and Robbie Gray added 3 goals. They battled to keep their mob in touch, but the boys in orange were too good in the end. Undefeated GWS captain Toby Green had 30 touches as well, as did Taranto and Hopper, while Phil Davis and Nick Haynes combined for 23 marks down back.
I like the way the game ended too. Toby Green lining up from 80 metres out. Oh, give me my 30 seconds, mate. Give me my... Yeah, very smart.
Very clever.
It's stuff of leaders there, isn't it? Grubby leaders.
3 goals each to Cameron and Finlayson, and the Giants are showing some real depth without their star mids. They're on track to be a serious threat in September, only a couple of weeks after Jackie Boy rode them off. Then...
I've still written them off, for the record. Yeah, yep.
Then things weren't so exhilarating, unfortunately, on Sunday when the Doggies ran laps around the Dockers. 113 to 66, the final scores, has the Dogs faithful declaring season alive after beating a team as strong as Dale Morris's ACL.
You cannot be serious!
You cannot be serious, man. He's an angel, that man. He's a god of Footscray Town.
I shouldn't joke. He is a heart and soul guy, Dale Morris. And it wasn't great to see him injure himself again.
It wasn't.
But the alternative recovery methods are about as logical as a Powerade fixing my weekend-long bender.
Yeah. Oh, no, that works. It depends. What flavour? Yeah.
Blue Bolt.
Nah, man. Nah. Fierce grape.
Delicious. Look, big numbers all over for the Dogs. McRae was the standout, 38 at 92%. Bailey Dale had 4 tasty schnags. The Bont, 28 and 2 goals. But Astro Norton kicked what is probably goal of the year for me. The angle, the deftness of touch, and the control with a degree of difficulty of 9.9.
Yeah, it was the naughtiest thing of the day, that's for sure.
Lord. For Freo, Fife was absolutely enormous. He got wasted up forward in the first quarter, and then he pushed up. He finished with 33 touches and 7 clearances. Brayshaw had a career game, 26 and 3 goals.
Oh, sensational he was. Yep.
But poor Tim English, he had to stand next to old Sanderlands, must have monstered him. He must feel like pissing next to Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
Look, Ross the boss has got some questions to answer about playing 3 ruckmen on a fast deck against the pacey Dogs, but his outfit was pretty disgraceful. It was state league effort from those boys most of the day.
Absolute waffle.
Then the Cats, they carried on looking gettable, but they did get a win against the Swans. Scores locked at halftime after a good opening from the Bloods, but Geelong kicked away to win by 27. Tomahawk had it on a string in his 250th, finishing with 5 majors. Danger and Duncan were good through the guts. They had 25 and 2 goals apiece. But injury concerns to Blitzarves after he took a thunderous 2km/h kung fu chop to the chest, rattled all the way up to his chin and sent him crashing to the canvas.
You filthy animal.
I give him an early Best Supporting Actor nod.
Honestly, stuff that, mate. I hated that.
Yeah,
I hated watching that.
I think if he had his time again, he wouldn't do that.
Give him a week or a 10 grand fine for me. $1 grand's nowhere near enough.
Wow, really?
$1 grand is pathetic.
No. I'm not happy with one grand. 2 or 3 just to send a little message. 10 grand.
He should have to date Chris from Frankston's Baby Mama.
Nah, no one should have to do that. But seriously, Chris, just give her what she wants, mate.
Just call her, mate.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Look, for the Swannies, Heaney dodged my running cold. He had 3 goals. Kennedy and Parker got plenty of the rock and a goal each. And Jordan Dawson was very impressive. He had 3 goals at 88% from 17 touches and one very classy goal where he balked 3 players and slotted it on the move. Then the last game was what many thought, including me, would be a whitewash, but my Bombers barely held on versus the Suns, winning it through some clutch Cale Hooker kicking at the death. 10 points the final margin after some string of magic. He finished with 4 goals, 2 and 6 clearances. 4 goals to Sean McKernan to go with 6 contested marks. And Tipper sold some filthy candy, broke some ankles, and then he sent it lace out to Hooker for the go-ahead goal with 1 minute left. The Dons really failed to get their percentage boost, partly due to a sloppy opening effort, but mostly because the Suns made a stand. They won the clearances, the contested footy, and Touk Miller led the way with 22 contested possessions, while Miles added 8 clearances, and Witts dominated Zach Clark. 3 goals to Sam Day, but 4 snags to Ben King. Had some pundits start to see why he was a top draft pick, but Jakey Stringer produced a monster clearance and a goal to seal it.
Ball knocked down, Stringer gets the clearance, and it might be the game winner. He barrels it, heads long, bouncing ball, a goal, and it's over. He is crazy good.
Look, lucky win to my boys and a valiant effort from the Suns in the end. So that is all the games of round 19, Jacko.
No, I love that from you, Bob. Another really good weekend of football. Now, Bobby, out of all the football that was played on the weekend, what is your game of the round?
Look, the game I'm going to give some analysis treatment to is the Crows versus Carlton. I'm going to frame this as a bit of an analogy for you. We've just had 2 teams suit up, and although they are sitting at opposite ends of the ladder, so to speak, their stock prices are trending in polar opposite directions. Firstly, to Carlton, they've got a real Tesla vibe about them. They're flashy, they're new, they're gaining serious momentum, but they're still largely untrusted. Saturday showed why they were right to part with bolts, in my opinion. Coaching for tomorrow and waiting for others to innovate. But now, with Teague at the helm, they're their own brand, they're a unique array of potential and experience, and they're threatening to drive upward strongly and head into 2020 with some wind in their sails. They won the clearances, contested possessions, contested marks inside 50, tackles inside 50 as well. Cripps did what only Cripps can do. That's why some say he's the best player. 19 clearances.
Yeah.
But 8 centre clearances and 11 stoppage clearances. It's monstrous.
Yep.
It's monstrous all over the ground. Simpson had his first 30-touch game all year, plus 1 goal. Casbolt managed 4 goals for the year under Bolton. His 3 goals on the weekend made it 10 goals 4 under Teague. Gibbons, who was a highly prized mature age recruit, he had 20 touches and 1 goal once under Bolton, now has done that 3 times under Teague. So the difference is stark. They're on the rise, Carlton, and they are the flashy new Tesla. But if that's what they are, Adelaide is oil. And almost in a literal sense, we're watching liquid fossils jog around the park.
Yep.
Their style's old, their list is ancient, and they're starting to look a little bit obsolete. I had a good look at the Crows post-showdown about a month ago at how their kids weren't quite good enough to hold a spot each week, but in truth, their list doesn't consist of enough young talent to warrant picking them either. Their best 25 is in large part the dinosaurs. Dode will return, Miller has claimed a spot, and Lachlan Murphy's kind of holding his own, but that's basically it for their best starting 22 each week. Gallucci should be given more of an opportunity in the right spot for me. We spoke about that.
Yeah.
He can produce, but he's being played out of position sometimes, and Stengel is just waiting for Betts to finally keel over before he's a weekly in.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pike started sending out some warnings through the vets. First it was Gibbs, lately it's been Betts. But it's a really dismal coaching strategy to have a herd of sacrificial lambs walking the corridors of West Lakes each week.
Yeah.
Pike should be pretty nervous in my opinion, and he should probably drop himself, to be honest. Next year will be worse than this year for the Crows, and at the end of 2020 they'll have Miller out of contract. Both Atkins and Brad Crouch will be restricted free agents. So you'd have to think the Vultures will start circling soon to try and snatch those guys up. It's time to trade, in my opinion, if they don't fire Pike and move on, because on the weekend we saw the oil tanker explode. Yeah. That was the sound of a premiership window being slammed shut.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've been rather bullish about Carlton. Even earlier in the season when they were honourable losses, I know we hate that term, but, they were losing in tight games against pretty good sides. And they were being competitive, they were staying in it. The game plan looked a little bit more organised than previous seasons with Bolton. However, since Teagues took over, as you've said, I want to sit down and watch them. Yeah. I actually want to watch Carlton play footy.
It's a great call.
And it's been years since I've wanted to watch Carlton play footy. They were the flick-over game, like Gold Coast are now, and Melbourne. Freo. Yeah, I really like that Tesla analogy, because they're the new kid on the block in the automotive industry. Yet again, like me being rather bullish about Carlton, I see a really bright future with Carlton. Their kids are good. Teague's playing them where they want to play and where they enjoy playing footy. And I think that all 22 of them have completely bought into Teague's philosophy, and that is go out there and play your best football in your best position.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm putting it on the record on the fat side, David Teague's a no-brainer for me. I'd sign him for 2 years. You have them for 24 months. Let's see what you can do. And if it's no good, it's no good. They'll reassess. But hey, if he could be like a Luke Beveridge of sorts. Luke Beveridge took over an absolute crisis at Whitten Oval, and within 2 years won a premiership with young talent. You never know what's around the corner, and I'm seeing it a lot more on social media, and hearing callers on Talkback Radio. All the Carlton supporters are really getting behind Teague, and they want him. So I reckon they just bite the bullet and give the fans what they want. Yeah, and I'm sure you can agree in some sense there, Bob.
Yeah, I think they should, although they've got really tough games to round out the year.
Yep.
They play 3 top 4 teams.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of the polish off what he's done so far. But, we were speaking the other day, and you rightly said, geez, if they win 2 of those games, 2 of the last 4, lock it in.
Lock it in, yep.
I agree, though. They should probably lock it in now.
Yep. Do you like the 2-year buffer, or...?
They've got enough 50 to 100 game talent that 2 years should be enough to see whether you're in the right direction.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, at the end of next year, if they were borderline finals, if they got up to around 10th, extend him immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. Give him another 2 on top of it.
Incentive. Yeah.
And now he's got 3 to roll with, and hopefully make finals at least one of those years. That's what they should be aiming for. Not too high, not too fast.
Yeah. No, good call, Bob.
All right, well, that was my game of the round. Now, we still have a ripper compare the pair to come, and Jack's frothing for a bit of wisdom or waffle soon. But first, let's check out the FATSIDE MVP votes.
Get around him! Get around him!
Jackie boy, why don't you kick us off with your first vote?
My one vote goes to St Kilda's Seb Ross. He showed the world why he is, and that he is, Wisp's nephew. He played really good football on the weekend. 31 disposals, 74%, 2 goals, 9 tackles, 9 inside 50s, and was absolutely dominant in that midfield against, witches hats in Melbourne. Disorganised turnover kings in Melbourne. Seb Ross looked really good, playing his best footy. And I'm sure our good friend Paddy will be happy that a Saint has featured in the votes, probably for one of the first times this year. My 2 votes goes to my boy, Jack McRae. 38 disposals, 18 of them contested, at a nice whopping 92% efficiency, 8 clearances, and just absolutely tailed up the no-show Dockers. My 3 votes goes to my old boy, still breaks my heart, but your boy, Jake Stringer. 4 massive majors, incredible match-winning performances, 6 clearances, and just absolutely dominant through that midfield, and won you the game. A clearance goal. It was that's premium Jake Stringer. That is package Stringer. That sort of stuff. Get out of my way. Bang, 70 out. Just saw red. Saw the goals. My 4 votes goes to the king of Richmond, Dustin Martin. 38 disposals, 2 goals, 8 inside 50s. Looked back to his prolific best. We've seen a bit of this from Dustin Martin throughout the season. Not enough for my liking. Not enough. Not like that 2017 Dustin Martin. But, very impressive stuff from Dusty. My 5 votes couldn't go to anyone else. It's the sex bomb himself from Princes Park. It's Patrick Cripps.
Mama, there goes that man.
39 disposals. I call him the sex bomb because my missus likes him more than me. So, there we go. 24 contested out of those 39. 19 clearances, 7 tackles, 8 inside 50s, 1 goal, and 1 heck of a 4-quarter effort as a leader. So yeah, he was a unanimous 5-voter for me. I'm sure he's probably featuring in yours, Bob. But tell me, Bob, what are your votes this week?
All right, mate, I'll lead off with my first vote. Well, I gave my 1 vote to Dusty.
Oh.
Look, he did have the most metres gained on the day. Over 650 metres gained, 8 inside 50s. He was the most talented midfielder in an array of talented mids on the night, so I thought he was very special. 60% disposal efficiency, wasn't great, and Collingwood turned off.
That's why I didn't mention it.
Yeah, they turned off for a bit, so it was all too easy for him at one stage. My 2 votes, it goes to Jack Macrae, almost for the same reasons, is because he was just running around like he was playing school children. So, although Fremantle were witches' hats, the 18 contested and 8 clearances from Jack Macrae is very big, because that's still really hard to do when you're standing at a centre bounce with Nathan Fyfe. I would have liked some scoreboard impact from Jack Macrae, and that would have upped him in the votes for me 100%. My 3 votes, it's the same as you. It goes to Jake Stringer. Complete match winner. He got the clearances when we were desperate for clearances. That's what was pretty important. But he kicks goals like few people can.
Yeah. And
he is a leader now. He really is week to week. Here's the stat that I like the most. 500 metres gained from 15 disposals.
Yeah, that's enormous.
It's phenomenal, man. I mean, we look at Dusty, he got 650 from 38. So that's what Jake Stringer can do when he grabs the footy, bursts and bangs it.
His last minute goal was 495 metres out anyway, so...
My 4 votes, it goes to Josh Kennedy of the West Coast Eagles. Look, 10 kicks on the day is all he had to bag 7 goals. That's amazing strike rate. Clunked everything. 5 contested marks, 6 marks inside 50. He had some blowtorches aimed at him for his performances over the last 2 weeks. He turned those all off. He completely extinguished them with that display. Showed why he's a champion, one of the best forwards of his era. My 5 votes, it can't be anyone else. It has to be Patrick Cripps.
Mama, there goes that man.
Well, you've said it. The clearances, the 24 contested, the 8 inside 50s. I really liked his goal. So 7 minutes in, the Crows already had 2 majors on the board, and he charged forward and bagged one to spark his team. And then from that point onwards, he was the best player on the ground all day, led his team to victory. Absolute champion stuff. I'm almost convinced he is the best player in the game when he does that. But he's had some quiet days when a big body tagger has gone to him.
Bath time with Clarkey.
Well, okay, not just Clarkey, but yes, bath time with Clarkey. How Adelaide didn't think to do that. To put Hugh Greenwood in the team and stick him side by side. Something. To try and equalise it. That cost them the game, maybe.
Yeah, I think Don Pike was too busy having Kranskis in the stand with Alex Keith. But, yeah.
All right, let's check out the leaderboard. Well, after this week, we do have a new leader. It's Patrick Cripps. He's jumped straight to the top. He's now leading the way on 34 votes. Grundy is trailing second place on 27. Just behind them, Lockie Neal's on 23. TK is on 20 in fourth. And then there's a bit of a peloton behind them. But those boys, and rightly so, they are the Brownlow favourites, most of them. They've separated themselves from the pack completely. They're the only ones that can win it from here. But it's going to take some big 5-vote performances to knock Cripps off the perch.
It's that time of the week when Bobby throws a temperature-based dilemma my way. It's Bobby's famous hot and cold.
Yes, each week I reel off some mind data to determine who's burning it up and who's in Siberia. Then I challenge Jacko, mostly to get free beers, but to see if he can beat my line on their respective outputs. Last week for running hot, I gave you Toby Green. He needed 28 touches, 5 clearances, 2 goals. You said, yep. He had 30 touches, 2 clearances and no scoreboard impact. That'll cost you a froth, champion. The next one was Tom Lynch of the Richmond Footy Club. I was after 3 goals, 2 inside 50s and 8 contested. You locked that one in pretty fast and well done, mate. 5 goals, 1, 4 inside 50s, 10 contested. You can have that froth back, champion.
Hey.
All right, this week for my running hot.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
Josh Bruce. Now, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise to those people that follow football. Year to date, he's kicked 18 goals, 13. Averaged 4 marks and a bit over 1 contested mark. In the last month alone, he's kicked 14 goals, 3, added 3 marks per game as well. His disposals and contested possessions haven't budged that much, So a similar amount of involvement, but much more dangerous and effective. So what I want from Josh Bruce this week is 3 goals and 2 contested marks versus Adelaide.
Yes. Yep.
Happy to lock that in?
Why not? He's running a red hot.
He's running red hot. Alex Keith will be back, so we'll lock that in. All right, the next one I have for you.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
Is Cade Simpson. Look, the last 3 weeks, Cade Simpson's gone up several notches. During the season, before the last 3 weeks, he was averaging 18 touches, 4 marks, 6 contested. But he only had a total of 6 clearances and 1 bounce for the year. I know you like the bounce because they're a bit left field.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like the show, the bounce. Let me just put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely not. The last 3 weeks, he's been averaging 25 touches at 80%, 6 marks, 2 clearances, and 2 bounces per game. So, can he continue to launch off halfback? Can he get 25 at 80% and 400 plus metres gained versus West Coast?
Yes, because I believe he'll be pretty busy against West Coast.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, very nice. We'll lock that one in. All right, last week for my running cold, I gave you the Adelaide Fossil Dinosaur Tex Walker. I did say incorrectly, imprecisely, in the pod that he had GWS as an opponent. I don't really know why I said that. Maybe I saw Port Adelaide, GWS. So he had Carlton.
I saw why you got that wrong, because 18 of the name 22 were from GWS, so totally get it.
Look, the line was 3 goals and 2 contested marks, and you said yes, and he kicked 3 goals, 0 contested marks. So that'll cost you a froth. But in good news, the last one I had was Will Hoskin-Elliott. Foolishly, my line included goals. He ended up playing 75% of time in defence. So 2-goal line, absolutely no chance. You were spot on. He had 20 touches and 1 point, so that's minus a froth. So you break even again this week, mate. You're still only stuck on 12 froths. 12. But for my running cold this week,
You're as cold as ice.
it's Luke Bruce. Now, year to date, he's averaging 13.5 touches, 7 contested, 3 marks, but importantly, 2 goals a game. The last 2 weeks, he's kicked 2 points, 1 mark inside 50, 0 free kicks. On the weekend, he had 8 touches, 1 point, 0 tackles, 1 mark, 85% time on ground.
That's pathetic. Oh,
It's a fair drop-off.
Yeah.
And he's almost a top 5 player in his position in the AFL. So it's a steep drop-off. Can he get 1 goal, 1, 3 tackles, and 5 marks versus North?
yes. I think he can. Yeah.
All right, we'll lock that
Why
in.
not? It's against North.
My next one, running cold.
You're as cold as ice.
It's Jack Zeeble. Now, this might not seem fair, but pay attention. In Reece Shaw's first month, he averaged 24, 12 contested. He also had 6 clearances, 6 inside 50s, and he kicked 7 goals, 1 in total. The last 3 weeks, which have all been losses for North, he's averaged 17, 8 contested, 3 clearances, 3 inside 50s, and kicked 1 point. So it's very steep. It's a 7 possession, 3 clearance, 3 inside 50 drop off, and he's barely hitting the scoreboard anymore. Can he respond? Get 22 touches, 8 contested, and 1 goal versus the Hawks?
No. Well, I don't know why I've said that. He's playing Hawthorn. I owe you like half a slab anyway. Yeah, go on. Yeah, he will.
We'll say yes.
Yep.
All right, we'll lock that in. All right, mate. Well, that is my hot and cold for this week. Now, this is the bit that you wait for every single week. You call me every day wondering when it's going to happen, what questions I've got for you, but I never divulge too early. It is time for Wisdom or Waffle.
You cannot be serious. I am smart. Mr. Marty.
All right, each week, Jacko and I overarm a few curly questions at each other, and we try to decide whether they're wisdom or whether they are waffle. Why don't you kick us off, Jacko? What's the first one you've got this week?
All right, this is from Gary Lyon, Bob. Gold Coast must lock Ben King away immediately and build the next generation around him. Wisdom or waffle?
Well, that's wisdom. Of course they should. And they're trying to lock every kid away. They just paid Isaac Rankin like a ridiculous money more than what they should pay someone who
hasn't played
a senior game of football as a draft. But yeah, so of course they should. Should they build the next generation around him? I don't know. We'll find out. But man, he looked good. Looked like a proper full forward option. A good one. against us. So, well done. He had a great game. All right. This is my first one, mate. This is from Ray Chamberlain. He was discussing the botched no call in the Dogs Suns game on radio during the week. He suggested a possible NHL-style review, where at the next stoppage, the review is had, and if need be, the score is amended to include the goal, the clock is wound back, and the players reset in that position.
It's a tough one. There's a bit of wisdom to it, but waffle in the fact that it'd be another big, massive change to the game. We spoke about this off air, and it's one of the very few things we haven't disagreed wholeheartedly with Razor Ray on one of his opinions or ideas. So, God, I'm a bit on the fence with that one. But hey, if it brings more clarity to those sorts of decisions, then it's wisdom for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that situation that happened for David Zaharakis, it's
unacceptable.
But it's also a 1 in a million thing. It very rarely goes like that. Personally, sack the goal umpire.
Yeah.
That is literally your one job, man, and it was over by way too far for there to be any doubt, so
absolutely.
I would just fire him and move on.
Yeah, look, that's probably the biggest howler I've seen since the disallowed goal from Frank Lampard back in 2010. Don't know if you remember it, but it was about a metre over the line.
Don't know if I care.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, I thought you wouldn't care, Bob, but that's okay. We'll move on. Bobby, this is from me. Simon Goodwin and the D's have gotten off far too lightly in season 2019. Wisdom or waffle?
Wisdom.
Yeah.
The heat was still on some of the other clubs who had only just sacked their coaches and their caretakers were starting to have their first bite. And that's when Simon Goodwin deserved to be massively under the pump.
Yep.
But Melbourne have been bad for almost the entire back half of the year now, that people are just resigned to the fact that that's where they are. Why no one's talking about trade options for them or whether they should keep him? I mean, people are talking about whether they should fire Dom Pike. They're still 8th.
Remarkable.
They're 8th.
That's what really surprises me. It's Dom Pike. He's the man of the hour.
I think
he's under the gun.
Paul Roos anointed Simon Goodwin.
Yeah.
People think, oh no, he must be the right man.
Yeah.
He might not be.
Might not be.
Might
yeah.
not be. Gary Lyon picked Mark Neild.
Yeah.
All right, mate.
Oh, that's a stinker.
Isn't it? All right, my next one. It's from Neil Baum. He said, quote, "The door isn't completely shut, but it's unlikely when talking about Alex Rance returning this year. But that possibility should be shut tightly, considering what we saw from Dale Morris on the weekend." Wisdom or waffle?
100% wisdom. Yeah. In the best interest of Alex Rance, but in the best interest of the team who are looking red hot, I must add. I'd throw the towel in for season 2019 and get him back to his best round 1 next season.
So if in 2 months' time they have a grand final against West Coast and they've just lost a key defender and he's saying, "I am right to rock and roll," and they've got to deal with Kennedy and Darling, you don't think there was any chance that they would play him?
Yeah, no, you play him, for sure. Yeah. So, there we go. You got me good. Alrighty, this is from the lips of St Kilda great Nick Riewoldt. "Richmond are the best team in the competition. I'm declaring them premiers. Wisdom or waffle?"
Well, this actually ties into one of my other ones, so why don't we just join them together and discuss for a moment. That's waffle for me. I said to you that I think West Coast, this is my call, should be even money for multiple reasons, but mostly because they're likely to play 2 home finals and then have to play a grand final at the G.
Yep. And that's wisdom for me.
Yeah.
On your end.
It's too early to declare them premiers.
Oh, yeah.
As like an out-and-out certainty. I did look at the betting because I was interested to see if there's value for West Coast. It's all right. $3.75 Richmond, $4.50 West Coast, Geelong $4.
Yeah.
So why West Coast aren't $4? I don't know.
Yep.
They're second on the ladder. They're in half decent form. They're going to be a handful wherever you have to play them. Mm-hmm. And if they make it back to a grand final at the MCG, they'll have no qualms about suiting up and having a repeat of last year.
No doubt.
So mentally, they'll be a really hard team to get on top of. Do you think that's fair that they should be even money favourites with Richmond, or would you still have them Geelong at $4?
I think West Coast are just a smidge ahead of both of them. So I have West Coast a little bit ahead of Richmond. A little bit by a whisker. I don't really have Geelong in that conversation at this moment in time.
Neither do I, but I can't figure out why.
Yeah. They're two games clear on top of the ladder.
Yeah, they look more gettable than Richmond or West Coast right now.
Yeah.
They might not have timed their run this year perfectly. They might be in a bit of strife.
So, waffle for Nick Riewoldt, wisdom to you from me. and I'm going to declare, he declared Richmond premiers. I declare that is one of the biggest nuffs, probably the first nuff in Rewalt's media career for mine.
Yeah, fair call. All right, my next one comes from Matty Lloyd. When asked what percentage of Collingwood's problems on field are injury related, he said about 50%. Wisdom or waffle?
Yeah, it's about 90%. They've got 26 available for selection of 22 players. It's about 90% their problem. But if they had a full healthy list, they'd be in that West Coast Richmond conversation. I dare say they'd be in that bracket. They'd certainly be looking more likely to win a premiership. I could almost draw a line through the pies due to injury, but due to they just don't really look that good.
What about at the start of the year when they were clearly had their best 25, 26 to choose from
and they were still,
each week, and they were still a little bit sluggish and losing quarters.
Yeah. They were losing heaps of quarters, yeah.
So I think that's where he got 50% from, but I'm with you. I think 50% is a little bit too low.
Yeah. That was a bit pedestrian from Lordo.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Waffle. Yeah, waffle for mine. Alrighty, this is my last one to you, Bob, and this is from yours truly. There's 4 weeks left in season 2019. It's too soon to sign Reece Shaw as head coach of North Melbourne. Wisdom or waffle?
Look, that's wisdom. I think North Melbourne have to go through a very deliberate and structured process to pick their next coach. They are the one team that's at risk of getting sucked into the caretaker coach theme that's running through the AFL because he has the least experience. So
he's 37 years old.
Yeah. He had 4 wins, and now they've got 4 losses to add to that as well. So at the moment, it's just a 50% coaching record.
Yep.
And they really need to see how they finish the year off. There's still 4 games to go. In a nightmare scenario, if under Reece Shaw's tenure, they were 4-8, it wouldn't look so glaringly obvious whatsoever.
No. Yeah.
Teague's a different story. Ratton obviously has a ton of coaching experience behind him, so he's also a different story. So it's way too early to lock him in.
Yeah.
However, I heard some reports that they haven't gone through an interview process with almost anyone yet.
Yeah.
They're yet to really pick up the phone and make a real fist of this search for a new head coach. So
they interviewed him last week, though.
Well, the only reports I did hear were they might sign him as soon as next week.
Yeah.
I think that's wisdom, mate. It's way too early to sign Reece Shaw.
That would be such a North Melbourne thing to do. Alrighty, well, that was my always my favourite time of the week, Bob. A few curly ones back and forth. That was fantastic. Now, I've been on the edge of my seat for the entire week. You have been bragging about this. You said I'm going to be pretty much falling out of my chair from stress because it's time for Compare the Pair.
Compare the pair.
Yeah, I have talked this up a bit, so I hope I haven't wet the bed on this one. I'm pretty happy. When I thought about it, in my mind it made sense. I looked at the numbers, it made sense, so I'll give it to you. Look, I was watching Josh Kennedy tear it up on the weekend. I thought how lucky he was to be part of a twin tower forward line where Darling can carry the load until his form slump ended. Then I thought, who's a comparable twin tower pair? I give to you the Compare the Pair. Jack Darling and Scotty Lucas.
Wow. Gee whiz, Bob. That's a good one.
It's a tough one.
It's a good one.
So I'll try and help you out here, mate, but it won't help. Accolades. They're both premiership winners.
Yep.
Arguably, they both could have had 2. Darling's been the leading goal kicker at West Coast twice. Scotty Lucas at Essendon only once. However, Scotty Lucas has 2 best and fairests at Essendon. Neither of them has ever been an All-Australian or won a Coleman.
Scott Lucas was never an All-Australian.
No.
That's blasphemous.
Well, arguably Jack Darling too. He's had a great year this year.
Yeah.
But he'll be overshadowed again.
Yeah.
That's what it means to play next to a champion. The goals and games played. Darling's played 190 games for 364 goals. Lucas played 270 games for 471. However, he did spend 1 whole season and then a part of as a centre-half back.
Yeah.
So a fairer comparison would be 240 games for 471 goals. Means their goals per game averages are 1.92 to Darling and 1.96 to Lucas.
Wow.
Lucas leads the disposals, despite not knowing how to handball. He did average 3 handballs a game for his career, but 12 kicks. That got him up to 15 touches. Darling averages 12.3 disposals, but he leads the contested marking it's 1.5 to 1.2 per game on average. Their best games...
You're right, this isn't helping me at all.
This is where it gets interesting. Their best games, arguably for both men, were against the Dogs.
Doesn't shock me.
In different eras, but yeah. Darling had 6 goals won, 15 touches, 9 contested and 4 contested marks. Lucas had 8 goals too, 16 touches, 10 contested possessions and 4 contested marks. So their best efforts are really similar as well. The one performance of Scotty Lucas's that I remember the most, it was Hurdy's and Sheeds' final game. We were down against West Coast by 50 points. Scotty Lucas kicked 7 goals in the last quarter, to drag it back to a 2-point deficit. Unfortunately, they kicked the last goal and we lost that game. Look, aside from that...
I remember that.
Yeah, 7 goals in a quarter. It's an amazing performance. But Darling's never done that. But Scotty Lucas had never done anything like that. It was just driven by passion. But look, so their averages are really similar. The milestones are really similar. Their best performances are really similar. And they're both sidekicks to 2 of the greatest full forwards of their respective eras. So who would you take as the better second option?
Scott Lucas. Yeah. Yeah, Scott Lucas for mine. Oh, that booming left foot.
Always trust Scotty Lucas's booming left foot, mate.
Yeah, it's the second best Facebook page of all time behind the Freo Dokers. But look, man, Scott Lucas for me, he used to amaze the hell out of me when I was a kid. I mean, if he was the man at another club, I mean, we're talking 600-700 goals.
Yeah, it could have had Coleman's if he was at another club.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but the thing is, Jack Darling in another club.
Absolutely.
I have no idea.
It's like earlier in the year you were talking about your boys might be able to snatch him out of West Coast, and then he extended.
Yeah.
How many
extended
goals?
For 5 years.
Yeah, he might average 3.5 to 4 goals a game at the Doggies if he was there next year with your midfield. So he's sacrificing a lot to play alongside Josh Kennedy as well.
Yeah. But he'd win. Yeah, he's staring down the barrel of another premiership. So
look, he is only 27. I do think it's fair maybe right at this point to say Scott Lucas because
it's easy to say because we've seen what he...
We've seen it. Without trying to be biased, I think Jack Darling will go past Scotty Lucas by the end of his career. They might end up around the same mark in terms of games and goals. Like 270 is a fair amount. So he does still have to play another 80 games. But yeah, 5 good years will get him there. We'll get him close to the 300 club. He'll play more finals, that's for sure. And he should have a chance as Kennedy ages of winning a Coleman or another club leading goal kicker award. Look, I know it's a tough one. We'll probably put up a poll on Instagram and on Facebook and we'll see what you guys think. And we'll get some feedback there from you fellas.
That'll certainly help. But yeah, Scott Lucas for mine. Bob, that was extraordinary. That's extraordinary. It's a good one there, Bob.
Thanks, mate. No, I'm glad you liked it. Well, this is the part that you deliver that I love every week. This is how I'm planning on buying a house. Stay tuned for Jack's Multi.
Now, Bob, you know that conservative is just not in my mindset.
Nah, it's not a tool in the tool bag for you, is it, mate?
Yeah, nah. So we'll we may as well rename it to lose your money on Jack's Hail Mary.
Jack's Lottery.
Yeah, Jack's Lottery. So first leg of the multi is Essendon versus Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. I have either team by 19 or less. That's paying $2.20. Don't mind that. Bit of value there. My second leg is GWS plus 25 against the Swans, paying $1.83. A little bit of value there, but I think that's almost a shoe-in at Giant Stadium. Yep. Sydney, they're dead and gone. Yeah, for season 2019. Aren't they, Smitty? My third leg is Richmond 40 plus to demolish Melbourne at the MCG. They are just absolutely roaring. That's paying $2.50. That's great value.
It's great value, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've got a couple of player ones to round it off.
Nice.
I've gone absolutely ham on this man. I think he'll be very busy against the Eagles.
Yep.
And I think Nick Newman will get 30 or more against West Coast. That's paying $6.50.
You cannot be serious!
That's just that's a Hail Mary. My fifth and final is it's great value. Jared Lyons to get 30 or more against the Dogs, paying $3.
That's pretty good.
$3 is very nice. Now, what do you get if you add all that, you ask? You get $196. Yeah, look, don't be like me. Gamble responsibly. Bob, what do you reckon, mate? Not bad.
Not bad. Good choice.
Look, it's not bad, mate. Last week, we actually did okay. We both failed 2 legs. We weren't that far off, to tell you the truth. So, look, I'll give you guys a brief conservative multi. I've got North and the Hawks game, either team under 19.5. That's paying $2. The next leg, it's one of yours. I have Richmond 40 plus.
Nice.
$2.50 is amazing value.
It's incredible.
We should lock... Richmond are going to thump them.
Yeah.
So we should lock that in. I also have a player one. I've got Treloar to get 30 plus versus the Suns. That's $1.30. And then I'm taking Brisbane head-to-head over the Doggies. That's $1.35. When you roll that together, it's $8.77. So if you bang a pineapple on it, $390 profit. Get around it.
Nice, don't mind that from you, Bob. Mine's way more likely of winning. But
Well, before we go into the match preview, let's check the tips as we do every week. 9 for you last week, Jackie boy.
Get around him! Get around him!
A nice big fat 9. I got 8. So the race for the Chockies is tightened up a little bit. I'm only leading by 2, so just clinging on at the moment. Let's go through the games for round 20.
Here we go!
We've got North versus the Hawks at Marvel. Who do you like in this one on a Friday night, mate?
I like North by about 10, 15 points, around that mark. 2 or 3 goal win. What about you, Bob?
Yeah, it's a good call. I really struggled with this one. I gave it some thought. I think the Hawks will win this. A couple of reasons. I think McAvoy's a better ruckman than Goldstein this year.
Yep.
I think North's backs really struggled to do anything. Tarrant was under siege a little bit.
Yep.
And I think some of the marking power of Mitchell Lewis and even a couple of the other fellas that can drift forward for Hawthorn might cause him a few headaches. So Hawks by 20 points for me. Next game of the round is my Bombers taking on Port Power. It's at home for us, so it's at Marvel. Who do you like in this one, Jacko?
I like the Bombers in this one. I think they'll win by 3 goals. 3 goal win. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to take my boys. I passed up on them a couple of weeks ago and I paid the ultimate price when they won, so I'm going to tip them for the rest of the year. Bombers by 34 points for me.
Oh, nice.
We are Port's bogey team.
Yeah.
I think it's 4 in a row now.
Yep.
We spank them every time we get them, so they would hate playing us, especially at home.
They don't like Marvel either. No.
Next game of the round, it's the Battle of the Bridge. It's GWS versus Sydney at Giant Stadium. Who do you like in the showdown, mate?
I like GWS by about 50 points. I think they'll smash the Swans this weekend at Giant Stadium.
Yeah, I think it'll be a comfortable victory for GWS as well. I have them winning by 5 goals. Next game, it's Freo versus the Cats. It is over in the West. It's at Optus Stadium.
Geelong by 30. Every week.
Every week.
Yeah, Geelong by 5 goals.
Yeah, look, I think the Cats might have gotten a little bit of a scare last week.
Yep.
Being evens at half-time with Sydney. If they didn't, they bloody well should have.
Yep.
I think they might try and apply some pressure, some real foot-to-the-throat stuff this week. I've got the Cats by 10 goals.
Oh, wowee. Nice, Bob.
Next game, Melbourne versus the Tiggies. It's at the G. Who do you like?
I like Richmond by 70 points.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one, isn't it?
Yep.
I think Maxi Gawn might be able to curtail some of the damage.
Yep.
Because without him, they would have had multiple 70-point losses this year.
Feel so sorry for Max.
No
Big Maxi.
shit.
You see his body language last week?
Yeah.
Just didn't even want to be out there anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Tigers. I've got 50 points. Obviously, both of us need plus 40 for the multi, but I think plus 40 is a guaranteed.
Yeah.
Really is. Next game, Crows versus St Kilda. It's at Adelaide Oval. Who are you going to take in this one, mate?
Adelaide at home. Just because it's at home. If it was in Melbourne, I'd be tipping the Saints. But they'll win by 2 or 3 goals. It won't be that convincing, but I expect St Kilda to stay competitive as the last two weeks and really compete up there. So, yeah. What about you, Bob?
Yeah, look, I'm going to take Adelaide as well. The pressure's mounting on Don Pike. Questions of the playing group. All he's got to do is pick his best team, put him out there on the park, and say, it's up to you, boys. We're 8th, and if you want to play finals, you must win this one. If they lose this one, season over.
Yep.
Absolutely season over. So I think they'll backs against the wall. They'll give something. Crows by 3 goals for me. Sunday's first game, it's the Pies versus the Suns. 1-10 at the MCG. Who do you like in this one?
Collingwood by 10 points.
Close.
I think it'll be pretty similar to your game last week. Collingwood are way less convincing than you guys. And, if another one drops like a fly, they're in big trouble. So I think Collingwood will be looking like this. Oh, thank God we've got Gold Coast. What a perfect time to get Gold Coast. Gold Coast are thinking, what a perfect time to get Collingwood. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so I don't think they'll convincingly beat them, but they will beat them.
Yeah, look, I've got the Pies too. I've got them winning by 25 points. Only because they do put their foot down at the end of games and stuff. I mean, it took us putting the foot down just to win against Gold Coast. So if Gold Coast turn up like that, they will throw some caution to the wind for a quarter or two. Mark my words. Next game of the round, it's the Blues versus the Eagles. It's at Marvel. Who do you like in this one by how much?
West Coast by 25 points. I think Carlton can really scare them a little bit. And we've seen West Coast sort of just like pull away late or like, just these sort of... just ticks. They tick off another win.
Yep.
But sometimes not that convincingly. I think Carlton could cause a few headaches in the middle there. But yeah, I think West Coast will get the job done, as they should.
Yeah, I've got the Eagles by 6 goals as well, so 25 to 30 points seems like a fair estimate for that game, in my opinion. Last game of the round, it's your boys. It's the Lions versus the Doggies up at the Gabba. What do you make of this one?
We beat them early in the season, but we are not going to beat them at the Gabatoir. Brisbane will win by about 27 points. Yeah.
Now, fair call. That's very honest of you, mate. I actually have the Lions to win by only 15 points. I think your midfield can make a bit of a fist of it. If Tim English has a good performance, that might be the difference between you being competitive and not.
Yep. Good call. Good call. All right, Bob. Now, before we wrap up, after what's been another incredible edition of the Fat Side, what are you looking forward to this weekend, mate?
I think I'm going to say the Lions-Dogs game.
Yes.
For the sole reason that we've got two young gun midfields going up against each other. I really have them on par based on current form and talent, especially around the coalface. It's not going to be an easy day for either midfield. And I really think there'll be a reality check waiting if one midfield runs over the top of the other group. It will really make them reflect on where they really are and how good that team really is. But a huge, proper, pure midfield battle is what we're going to see as the last game on Sunday. So I can't wait for that. What about you, mate? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Carlton West Coast. And this is to touch on what I said earlier in the show, is I'm enjoying watching Carlton. And it's at Marvel Stadium, so stranger things have happened. I'd really would love to see another big effort from Carlton. And I think that they'll go pretty bloody hard at the Eagles this week and give them a run for their money. As I obviously tipped West Coast to win the game, I am looking forward to seeing what Carlton can make of it, make of this opportunity. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Bob, give us your doomsday.
My worst case scenario is the Pies losing to the Suns.
Oof, yeah.
You almost said it before. It's obviously unlikely, but it would really cause a stir. And if your boys manage to pip the Lions and Adelaide win against the Saints, their position in the top 8 will be under siege. It really will be. There'll be a game inside the 8, that's it, with some tough ones to come. So if the downhill slope continues, and perhaps the cliff that they're sliding down is a little bit steeper than we thought, and they lose to the Gold Coast, their season will be on the line in round 21, with still a game against the Bombers in round 23, maybe to help hold their spot.
Oof, so what a game. Friday night, it's been announced.
Yes.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yep. What about you, mate?
My worst case scenario is Adelaide lose at home against the Saints. Yeah, I think...
it's highly possible, though.
It's very possible. I almost tipped St Kilda. Like, I was actually thinking about it. So, that is my worst case scenario. It'll be more than the Jungle Drums beating. It'll be hell for Don Pike next week if they drop a game at home against the Saints. Yep, so it's my worst case scenario.
Yeah, no, it's a fair one. I mean, if they only manage 60 points and the Saints bang home 100, if the current fortnightly trend continues, that will be an absolute doomsday over there at West Lakes.
Yeah.
All right, mate. That was fantastic. And thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for staying up and having a listen. As always, you'll be able to find us on YouTube. Make sure, if you haven't already, head over to the Facebook page, The FATSIDE Podcast. You can grab some of our funny jokes, some of our memes. We're going to chuck some polls up there. You're going to get notifications about when the content drops straight away. We're also on SoundCloud, so you can check us out there. And coming soon, we should be on Spotify. Also, slide over to Instagram and see some of Jackie Boy's work on the social stuff as well.
Fantastic, Bob. And well done by you. Our good friend here, Bobby, has hooked up a marvellous Facebook page and it's kicking goals, mate. We're doing all right. Thanks once again, guys. Another great show and look forward to speaking to you all next week. Bob, have a great night, mate. Good night.
And that is it.